Report of the UN panel of experts accuses Houthis of controlling the country's economy. Yemeni children continue to bear the brunt of the conflict nationwide. Houthis assault the education system with sectarian ideology. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Shazad Dilbain. The UN group of experts confirmed that the Houthi family control many economic resources and real estate. The rebels impose illegal revenues and refrain from paying the salaries of state employees. This report has more details.
In its annual report for the year 2022, the United Nations group of experts stated that the Houthi group continued during the last year to earn illegal fees from its network of merchants and to create fuel crises to open opportunities for its oil trade and the black market. The report said the United Nations team of experts documented drug smuggling cases in which the Houthi group was involved as a means to generate funds for their war activities. The report added that the Houthi militia has seized private telecommunications companies in its areas of control, indicating that the group has confiscated vast areas of lands and buildings and imposed restrictions on the sale and purchase of real estate. The report pointed out that the Houthi militia continues to launch indiscriminate attacks on civilians and civilian objects, impose restrictions on movements, close any vital routes between cities, and prevent humanitarian aid from reaching those in need. The United Nations experts called on the Houthi militia to refrain from using intimidation and violence against people. It stressed that the Houthi militia had adopted a strategic plan to target the economic capabilities of the legitimate government, which led to economic instability in the areas controlled by the government. The experts' report touched on Safir oil tanker, noting that its potential explosion will lead to a massive oil spill, which poses an environmental and humanitarian threat to Yemen and the region.
The government forces stopped a violent attack by the Houthi militia on its positions south of Ma'rib, northeast of Yemen. In addition, military sources added that many weapons were used, causing deaths and injuries among the militia. The source pointed out that 4 of the government forces were killed in the clashes. A citizen and his wife were shot dead by a Houthi sniper west of Qataba district in Al-Dala. In addition, local sources confirmed that the citizen and his wife were shot dead by a Houthi sniper while they were on their way to a farm in Al-Fakhir. Houthi militia members prevented the ambulance from reaching the 2 victims until they died after bleeding. Sources revealed that an Iranian expert trained a number of security and intelligence Houthi officers in Sana'a. In addition, the sources indicated that the Iranian expert trained the Houthi elements in the field of communications and recruitment for the elements, in addition to a course in the field of electronic monitoring. Rights organizations said the amount of suffering and hardship that the children have been going through lasted for 8 years, which took a terrible toll on their lives and the future of the country. This report has more details.
The war in Yemen has been raging for almost 7 years. The failure of any military solution or diplomacy brokered by the UN to end the conflict, economic decline, and the collapse of the country's health and educational systems has led to a commensurate rise in poverty and unemployment, and an unprecedented increase in the numbers of migrants. The number of children involved in child labor has climbed to 160 million globally, and the COVID-19 pandemic threatens to push more people into the workforce. With the escalation of the armed war in Yemen in 2015, the number of out-of-school children has more than doubled, leaving more than 2 million school-aged children out of the classroom and risking their futures. Labor is an everyday reality for around 23% of children between 5 and 14 years old in Yemen. From sexual exploitation to slave treatment, these children are the objects of cruelty and malice. Their health, physical as well as mental, their security, and their development are drastically affected. There are thousands of Yemeni children who drop out of school to earn money as mechanics, blacksmiths, carpenters, agriculturists, and other fields with high human capital demands. Families are often aware of the hazards child laborers face, but are burdened by their own nominal earning power. UNESCO reports that 11.3 million children in Yemen are in need of humanitarian aid for protection in the present conditions, which represents a state of emergency as acute poverty grows. Similarly, UNICEF has gathered abundant evidence that nearly half the residents of Yemen in 2014 were living under the poverty line. The recent report clarifies that at present, the rate of national poverty has risen to nearly 80%. That is, 8 out of every 10 children are in families without sufficient income to secure their basic necessities.
Throughout the years of the conflict in Yemen, the rebels are trying to change the educational system through a number of measures. This report has more details.
Conflict has a devastating effect on education. It is a key factor in limiting access to quality education and has a negative impact on the mental health and productivity of children and youth. It also breaks down social cohesion and increases inequalities. However, one area of understanding conflict impacts has shifted from viewing conflict as an obstacle to providing education to more of an understanding of a subtle and profound disturbing linkage. Educational practices that promote cultural repression and manipulate culture and history to serve political goals can generate violence and reinforce inequality. School textbooks represent the foremost form of societal ethos transmitters. They are used as mass interference between an authority's acceptable culture and students. Textbooks are considered authoritative and factual. Politically influenced education is often exclusionary as it fails to represent different collective national identities. Political mobilization through education can promote social division and eventually violence against certain groups and increase structural violence. The Houthis have introduced new changes to the school textbooks taught in primary education in areas under their control. The changes express their ideological, religious, and political views. During the Yemeni conflict, education has been forcibly politicized. Teachers, schools, and students have become weapons and targets of the war. The changes introduced to school textbooks in areas under Houthi control serve to deepen faith identity and reinforce claims of fighting Western imperialism and its regional and local puppets. Additionally, the Houthis are facing certain practices in schools, such as prohibiting gender mixing and the replacement of entertainment songs with Houthi slogans and religious hymens. The new changes reflect political and ideological ambitions and seek to shape a public and political order that normalizes violence and conflict, and to legitimize the ideological and political vision of the Houthis.
The International Organization for Migration said over 10,000 Yemeni families have been displaced since the beginning of this year. The IOM said with the conflict in Yemen reaching its 9th year, the country is still suffering from the collapse of adequate services and the deterioration of living conditions. The Association of Abductees' Mothers in Ma'rib organized a conference on the protection of human rights. In addition, they dealt with a report which documents cases of violation from 2018 to 2022 in Ma'rib, Sana'a, Adan, and Taz. The report indicated the number of detained civilians in this period reached more than 1,000.
وطنية مستقلة تماما لا تخضع للحكومة. وأيضا سن الزواج، طبعا سن الزواج هناك تقدم فيه، تم إقرار سن الزواج بالمعرفة والمهارة في مجال.
Local negotiations succeeded in exchanging prisoners between the government forces and the Houthi group in Taz. In addition, they said the exchange included 2 fighters in exchange for 3 government forces. Medical sources in Sana'a revealed the spread of skin and other chronic diseases in dozens of the militia prisons in Sana'a. In addition, according to sources, this held deterioration to the continuation of Houthi corruption, in addition to the confiscation and looting of budgets of official prisons. Coming next in the news. The Burdened is a Yemeni movie beaming in the Berlin Film Festival.
So they're giving you nutrition for him?
قالوا لي سلمي له ما عنده ديله تاتو بطاقه اسبوع يقولوا 15 ودحين تركه مدري يهبوا له مدري لا يا صعب علينا بعض الحين بنحصل له حتى 10 ريال والله معانا قال له حقه من نشتري.
And what's the problem with his hands? What happened?
ياكلها بس نالو لما يسيل دم.
Oh my gosh, it's red raw. Why is he eating his fingers?
ياكلها بنفسه كذا يمسكها وياكلها لما يسيل دم. بعد الحين مراها لقدي يسيل دم من هنا من سنانه حتى ينكع مضله. الحين ما احسه الحين معه ولا قال ما هسوي. الحين ما راهن جاع اهم ما بهن.
Welcome back. The Massam project for demining in Yemen cleared more than 800 mines last week. In addition, according to the project, the total number of mines removed since the beginning of the project has increased to nearly 300,000 mines and explosive devices. A Yemeni film won the Amnesty International Award at the Berlin Film Festival 2023. This report has more details.
They started to think about getting abortion, and then they are in the middle of conflict in between. Are they doing the abortion so they survive, or they will go with the religion and what society think and the moral idea?
The director Amr Jamal wanted to open a window to Yemen with the Burdened movie, the first film from the country ever to show at the Berlinale Festival. Jamal said the storyline was inspired by the real-life struggle of a couple he knew. He was close to his friend and his wife, seeing them going through all this. Then the idea started to grow in him. In the film picked for the festival's Panorama Sidebar section, the couple both wanted abortion, but the wife has more doubts than her husband. Jamal said that maybe if it wasn't for the war, if it wasn't for the economic collapse, and they did not lose their jobs, maybe the fourth child would now be playing with his siblings.
I choose the location to be Aden City. It's my city, the city I live in. And every location that we filmed in was intentionally chosen because it represents an important building in the history of the last 100 years of the city. And I want to document them before we lose one of them. I hope we'll never lose any of them. But at least to keep in this film like something for the next generation to, beside the story, they can also have a reference of those streets and those buildings.
The Burden movie is Jamal's second feature film after 10 days before the wedding movie in 2018. Critics at the Berlinale have praised its true-to-life feel and sparse storytelling. Screen Daily called it a hard-edged drama that approaches a portion in totally matter-of-fact terms against a backdrop of religious and social pressures in an Islamic country enduring tough times. Reaching a wide audience at the Berlinale feels great. It's a rare opportunity to make people see something from Yemen.
The Houthi group announced that the ports of Hodeidah are going to resume receiving all commercial cargo ships for the first time in about 8 years. They added that the daily entry of ships through the ports of Hodeidah will ensure that 70% of the needs of the people of Yemen are covered. The Yemeni ambassador to Cairo inaugurated the Ramadan exhibition. This report has more details.
Al-Duqi, one of the neighborhoods of Giza Governorate, hosts the Welcome Ramadan exhibition for Yemeni and Egyptian products, which is organized by the Yemeni Business Council under the auspices of Giza Governorate and the Yemeni Embassy in Cairo. Within the framework of cooperation between the two countries and in the implementation of the initiative of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Citizens First, to alleviate the burden of high prices in food and supply commodities.
سعيد جدا بوجودي هذا المعرض زي ما قلت.
I'm really happy to be in the exhibition today. This is an evidence of the cooperation between us and the Yemeni Embassy and the Yemeni Businessmen Council to hold this exhibition to serve the Yemeni and Egyptian citizens. This comes within the framework of the initiative of the President of the Republic of Egypt.
The exhibition comes to highlight the products of the Yemeni immigrants companies that are trying to make their way among the competing Egyptian companies after the war conditions caused flight of capital abroad from inside Yemen and linking the Yemenis in Egypt with their familiar products.
I thank the governor of Giza for attending the Welcome Ramadan exhibition. It was an invitation from the President, and the Yemeni Embassy and the Businessmen Council responded to it. We are happy to be partners with Egypt, which supports Yemen in all international platforms and has received more than 1 million Yemenis. We thank them for everything.
The Yemeni Business Council, which is an umbrella for Yemeni companies in Egypt, was keen to make this festival an introduction to Yemeni products and Egyptian companies run by the Yemeni businessmen and to make them accessible to all.
We wanted to have a role in this initiative that cares for the citizen, whether the Yemeni community or the Egyptians. We want to repay this country for hosting a large number of Yemenis.
The exhibition constitutes an opportunity for Yemeni citizens dwelling in Egypt, as well as Egyptians, to purchase the needs of Ramadan packets at a rate of discounts ranging from 20 to 30%. The exhibition will remain open until the end of the holy month of Ramadan, so that everyone can visit it.
Here's a reminder of the main headlines. Reports of the UN panel of experts accuses Houthis of controlling the country's economy. Yemeni children continue to bear the brunt of the conflict nationwide. Houthis assault the educational system with sectarian ideology. This is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.